Hello, this is going fast. So Lisa, you are a British documentary photographer.
A European.
Good, I
Thank
like
you,
it.
thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bravo. Clap. Thank you. We're still in, we're still in, we're still in.
Thank you. Political artist,
Yes.
as we can see, and a reader in photography at University of South Wales,
Yes.
right?
An associate professor, actually, which is slightly different from a reader, but yeah.
Okay. So we are here for The Canary and the Hammer, published by Mike Books. Mike Books, which is also at the publisher section. And The Canary and the Hammer is your third book.
Yes.
Right? And it is an ambitious, far-reaching project that you worked on during 4 years, traveling across 4 continents to investigate into the troubled history of gold.
Correct.
Vast subject. It focuses on gold and our ongoing obsession for this, and I quote, potent symbol of value, beauty, purity, greed, and political power. Can you tell us more about this vast project and how you approached it for 4 years?
Yeah, okay, so in 2008 there was a financial crisis, which I'm sure everybody is aware of, and this had personal ramifications for myself and my family. And I always wanted to make a body of work and to look at the nature of financial crises, sort of, you know, what causes them, why do they happen? And so through a process of research, I came across James I, one of the very early financial crises in the early 17th century, 1605. And we had, in England at the time, there was a terrible financial crisis. And James I decided to send a ship to North America. So Francesco Pizarro had already plundered South America, formerly known as Peru, and solved the Spanish financial crisis by stealing the Incan gold and silver. So James I thought that he would do a similar thing. So he commissioned the Virginia Mining Company to go to North America, to Jamestown, which everybody is aware of, and to find gold and silver, you know, massacre the Native American, you know, indigenous population and steal their silver and gold and come back. But there was a problem. They didn't find any silver and gold. They found marshland. They found very inhospitable land and cannibalism, hunger, terrible situation. And the daughter of the Powhatan tribe was an extraordinary woman called Pocahontas. And for those of you that know, Pocahontas is this amazing character who was married to John Rolfe. She came back to meet John Rolfe's family in England and unfortunately died. And she's buried about 15 miles from my hometown in the south of England. So there were sort of lots of interesting narratives that started to sort of spring ideas for me. One was this really extraordinary female character who was pivotal to peace between the English and the Americans at the time, really extraordinary, who died very young, and also this financial crisis. And the thing that was tying everything together was gold. So I applied for a grant from the Getty Images Prestige Grant with a proposal to do a project on that, and I got the grant. So then I embarked on 4 years of sort of quite personal traveling around the world. I went to Peru, obviously, to start the journey. I went to North America. I went to China and around Europe. I went to Japan. And yeah, so it's 4 years in the making.
And actually, did you encounter any difficulties in one of those countries you went to, doing your researching?
Well, no, I worked with a fair trade gold mine in Peru, a place called Sutrami, which is really inhospitable. And I worked with a fantastic group of women called the Palaqueras. And in South America, it's considered really unlucky if women go below into the bowels of the earth. And the mythology is that if they do, all the gold will retreat. So this myth is perpetuated in these environments to keep women out of the gold mines and in the home, where they hold down 3 or 4 jobs. They cook, they clean, but they also scrabble around on the surface, the remnants that's left behind from what the men bring up, to find small pieces of gold and ore. So I worked with them extensively for about 3 weeks. And then I went to North America. So that was very inhospitable, that place in Peru. It was very high up in the Atacama deserts. But I was made extremely welcome. But, it's problematic. Obviously, I'm a white, middle-class woman. I'm going into an environment. So what I've done with the work, which you can see in the book, maybe I'll find the page, but I've created what's called an orotone, which is you back the image with gold. So I've printed the image of the women on very diaphanous paper, and then the gold shines through. So it doesn't just give it sort of material value, because it's obviously got fair trade gold on the back, but it makes them sort of shine, sort of fluoresce even, so they look much more, within the art world, they look more sort of aesthetic, if you like. They have an aura to them, a traditional sort of photographic aura. And
it brings us actually to the editing of the book, because we can see there's different lecture. I mean, you have here documents, archives documents, you have writings, you have personal works you did. So it's a mixed media book, work. How did you assemble all that? How did you work exactly?
Yeah, so each topic, so everywhere that I went around the world, I sort of approached each topic on its individual merit. So it made sense for me to work with a particular, a medium format camera, and to use gold in North America, because that has the history of artists such as Edward Curtis to have gone into that part of the world and sort of objectified. But then in China, it's much more of a fast-paced, fluid environment, and it was really difficult to get access, and I had to work really quickly and very surreptitiously. So flash and being very quick and working digitally was the appropriate way. So each chapter I've worked with an appropriate style and form depending on what I'm wanting to discuss. So in China, I'm talking about e-waste in relationship to America, because America used to dump all of its e-waste in China, and then it's recycled for its gold content. So now in China, there's actually more gold that comes from e-waste than comes from beneath the ground. China have closed the doors for America because of the steel tariffs, the row that they have with America and China. China no longer lets America dump its e-waste there. So, it's a complex. It's also talking about politics and finance.
You said it was divided into different chapters.
Yes.
Sweet of the sun, disease of the heart, all that glisters is not gold, etc.
Yeah. So each chapter name has sort of a connection to mythology. So, Pizarro talked about his soldiers saying that they had a disease of the heart because they were so obsessed by getting gold that actually they became very ill. So each chapter has a sort of... so the book in its entirety is really looking at the mythology of the metal, the material value of the metal. And in turn, I'm sort of looking at the mythology that's inherent within photography and the value of the photographic image in relationship to the material, but also the digital and online world and how that's disappeared. So there's not actually any gold that you can particularly see in the book. It's about gold's invisibility in society, and that in turn reflects on the invisibility of photography in society now, is that photography is so ubiquitous now, it's sort of become this very, invisible medium that we just take for granted, really. So these are the orotones that I was talking about, the ones that have the gold on the back. So this is the Satrami gold mine here, and this is a three-dimensional photograph of the tunnels that are underneath Satrami. So they had this lead geologist who's just the first woman who's actually been able to go into the gold mine there. And she creates these maps of the area and the tunnels that are underground.
And your images that so there's some obviously are archives, some are different kind of digital.
Yeah, so I work. These are etchings on aluminium because aluminium is something that's used in space. So that was a really interesting metal for me. This is a 3D rendering of the gold price over the whole history of when, from 1267 to the current day. So yeah, there's all sorts of different mediums and different approaches throughout the whole book. So you can't really get a handle on the book. It's very difficult to actually. It feels very unfamiliar as a publication. It's really chaotic. It's really fragmented. It's a way that sort of represents, I suppose, what society is like now. It's very chaotic, and gold and capitalism are sort of intrinsically linked and part of that chaos that we're all part of at the moment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The title?
Yeah. The canary and the hammer. So the canary is like this barometer that's taken into the coal mine, and when there's gas, toxic gas, canaries die, and it was a way to save men so that they would come out. And the hammer is to do with sort of smashing the institutions, but it also has a different meaning, and it's about the use of a tool. And all the time a tool is useful, it becomes invisible. So it's like our iPhones, all the time our phones work, they're completely invisible, but as soon as they break, we recognize that they are actually a means to an end and a tool. So Heidegger talks about the hammer. So theory is really important to me as well in the book.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello, hello.
After working on this subject for so many years, do you think it's a good idea to invest in gold today?
Yes. Yes.
And why?
Well, I met a number of people, actually, who don't have any bank accounts at all. They just have gold in the bottom of their garden. It's a very stable metal. Yves Klein is really interesting, the very famous artist, and he said that he wanted art to become the new barometer rather than gold, because it is also something else that maintains a very equal relationship to the financial market. So when you have a financial crisis, the first thing that everybody does is they go and buy art or they buy gold. So yeah, go and get some, I would, because we're heading for another quite soon. As soon as we leave Europe, actually, that's what's going to happen.
Are you going to invest?
Yes, I'm convinced.
Yeah, good. Was that convincing? Good. Okay.
The one? Yes?
How's it
Hello,
going?
hi.
Did you come across much resistance in the industry when you were doing the project from the miners or that?
Yeah, a huge amount of resistance everywhere, really, particularly in China. It's very... the mines that I were in were all illegal artisan mines now, using really toxic chemicals. So there's a really bad, toxic relationship between illegal mining of e-waste and obviously the destruction of the land, so people are very paranoid about that. And also in gold mines, they're very aware of the subjugation of women in gold mines, and even though it's a fair trade gold mine, they're very aware, so they're very private and very keen to show that the women are being very looked after, but of course the realities are very different. They have like 4 jobs and yeah, so lots of resistance, yeah.
So we can find your book at...
Yes, I'm going to be down at the Mac booth just for 10-15 minutes, so please come and say hello. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Lisa.
Thank you very much. Thank you.